Rain pattered lightly on the windows of the old stone farmhouse, casting long streaks across the glass like claw marks. Inside, the flicker of candlelight danced on the wooden beams. A faint, musty smell of damp earth and livestock clung to the air. Sam Bedford, our captive, stayed tied to a chair in the center of the room, soaked, shivering, but still smirking. Nick leaned against the wall, arms crossed. I paced. I couldn't help myself. Tom fiddled with a worn hunting knife, the tension bleeding from his fingers. Sophie sat stiffly, trying not to glare at the prisoner. James remained in the corner near the hearth, Tod in his hands. "You know what we're here for," Tom said. "Tell us what the hell's going on." Sam chuckled, lips split where someone had struck him. "You lot don't understand what you're interfering with. This isn't some posh countryside game. This is tradition. This is balance." James' voice crackled like dry timber. "My son was kidnapped to be used like a sacrificial lamb for your little pagan cult. Balance?" He took a step forward. "You don't know the meaning of it." Sam turned his gaze on him. "The weird took what it was owed. You should be grateful it didn't take more." Having enough of this nonsense, I slammed my fist on the table. "The weird? Enough of that fairy tale bullshit." "It's not a fairy tale," Sam whispered. "It's older than belief, older than your churches, your cities, your paved roads. The weird is the forest. It's the rot and the regrowth. It gives and it takes. We just obey." Sophie's eyes narrowed. "You obey by kidnapping children? Sacrificing them to beasts and running through with hands?" Sam smiled again. "We prepare them. They become something more, guardians, vessels. They shed their humanity so we don't have to." "That's sick," Tom muttered. Sam ignored him. "Every redling was once a child, released into the forest. The weird watches them. If they survive until the hunt, they are blessed. If they die, they are still given as tribute. That's the agreement." Nick stepped forward now, his voice quiet but fierce. "My dad was a terrier man. Fox hunts were our life. I get traditions. I get the land. But this is twisted. Even he'd never be part of this." Sam looked at Nick with something like pity, because he was blind as a mole to what the hunt really was. Later that evening, after Sam had been locked in the stable under watch, the group returned to the farmhouse kitchen. A bottle of whiskey was passed around, but no one drank much. The silence was heavy. "I never told anyone the truth," James said finally. His voice was raw. "Not even the police." Everyone looked up. "My twin brother, Luke, he was the first one I saw taken. I was 6. The last time I saw him in the woods behind the old vicarage when the horns sounded. The hounds came first, screaming, barking. Then the riders. Masks, red coats, blood on their coats." My face tightened. Sophie leaned in. "They grabbed him, took him. I remember my mother screaming, and I remember the forest swallowing him whole, and that was the last time I saw him." The room was silent before the crackle of the fire. Sophie placed a hand onto the farmer's. "We'll get him back," she whispered. "I promise." The next morning came with a light drizzle. Today was devoid of birdsong. Sophie stepped outside, blinking against the fog. Something darted at the tree line, low, quick, and red. A flash of red. A little warbled passage with several drawn-out fading notes. "Mr. Redbreast's gone off again," Sophie muttered half to herself. "Well, I think he wants us to follow." I joined her, rifle slung over the shoulder. "You really believe he's leading us somewhere?" "I don't know," she said, "but I've got a feeling." Nick spotted it first. Torn feathers, a fresh mallard near the trees, left on a flat stone. A gift or a warning? Further in, the group found relics, half-buried masks, wicker cages, carvings in ancient stones, glyphs of man-beast hybrids with thorns for crowns. Tom reached for one, only to recoil. Still warm. The forest called to him. It always had, but now it sang to his blood. No matter how he tried to break free of his iron containment, no matter how he tried to chew at the bars, Michael was not a boy anymore, not in body or mind. He moved like mist through the trees, muscles and fur and instincts. The hound's scent lingered on the wind, and it made his skin prickle. He remembered a time, vaguely, when he'd had a name. A toy, a voice that read stories in a soft country drawl, a garden with carrots and tomatoes, a dog barking cheerfully. Now those memories were flickers, scattered like bird bones. The others, the hunters, were nearby. He could smell their sweat and smoke. Their new methods, some carried smoldering urns that cast thick plumes, choking the undergrowth. Some laid false trails. Some had bagged foxes to let them loose and blood the hounds. The redling hated them. He remembered the fear. He remembered being dragged from somewhere that's now fuzzy to him. He remembered that. And now he would become the hunted. He crouched in a corner, his muscles twitching, and saw him, the master of the hunt, the one with the smile of a fox trap and a tongue like a snare. At dusk, Sophie sat alone outside the farmhouse. She stared at the edge of the woods, arms wrapped around herself. She'd stopped denying it. This place was wrong. It was ancient, alive. She saw them, the trees, bending slightly even when there was no rustle. She heard voices in the rustle, felt her pulse match the beat of something deeper, older. The weird. I joined her, crouching by her side. "You all right?" I asked. Sophie didn't answer at first. "I used to think things like this were stories, just weird old traditions that we needed to end, but now, I don't know. What if the land remembers? What if it fights back?" Behind her, the wind howled. No, it spoke. A syllable she didn't understand, yet somehow she felt it was her name. That night, the redling overlooked the valley, muscles tensed. And there it stood at the edge of the woods. The weird. A towering shape cloaked in bark and shadow. Antlers formed of tangled roots. Hollowed eyes staring directly at him. The animals, deer, foxes, birds, even a hare, gathered around it like children before an ancient god. And it nodded once. The redling understood. The time of the hunt was near.